So, hello everyone, my name is Svetozar Toskov, and today I'm going to give you a technical deep dive presentation about Kinvey Studio. Many tools look really great on the stage, demoing a simple scenario, but when you get back home and try to do something more complex, you get blocked. And the purpose of this session is to go beyond the simple drag and drop demo and show you how to do some complex things with Studio. So my demo will be mainly focused on mobile, just because it comes with more limitations than the web, but all the practice that I'm going to show are applicable to the web as well. So before going to the demo, a bit more information for me. As I said, I'm Svetozar Toskov, I'm from Bulgaria. I'm Senior Engineering Manager at Progress, with more than 15 years in the IT industry. I started 6 years ago at Progress as a developer in Asinium, later renamed to App Builder team. It was mainly a product for mobile development, for creating a mobile application based on Cordova. Then this tool evolved to NetScript Sidekick, which serves basically the same need, but the applications are now based on NetScript. You'll see later why. And the latest product that I'm working on is Kinvey Studio, and this is the product that I'm going to talk about. So the agenda for today, I will briefly touch what Kinvey Studio is. I'm not going to I will not go into many details because it was covered many times from my colleagues during the past days. And I will walk you through a typical project structure of an application created by Kinvey Studio, and then I will do some app customization in front of you, and I'll show you how to debug the device so you can troubleshoot any problems that you may face. I should mention that the demo will be mainly focused on the customizations, and I'm not going to show you how to create an application from zero. I'll start from already created application, which I'll extend and improve. So what's Kinvey Studio? Kinvey Studio is a solution for rapidly developing complex web and mobile application. It's part of the Kinvey family, and as soon as you get an account for Kinvey, you have access to Kinvey Studio as well. One of the main differences between Kinvey Studio and the other high productivity tools is that Kinvey Studio gives high control in the hands of developers. It generates efficient and maintainable code, and it's based on Angular, NativeScript, and CandoUI, and I'm going to give a bit more information about this framework in a minute. So what's NativeScript? For the mobile part of the project, Kinvey Studio relies on NativeScript. And NativeScript is a cross-platform mobile applications, cross-platform mobile framework for creating truly native mobile applications running on iOS and Android. It's open source and widely adopted, and it's based on JavaScript, so you can share as much code as you want with your web, iOS, and Android applications. One of the main differences between NativeScript and the other mobile frameworks is that NativeScript gives you 100% access to the native APIs, and it also does not run in a web view, but creates truly native UI widgets. For the app management itself, like routing, binding, and views management, NativeScript relies on Angular. That's why it's being developed in sync with a Google Angular team, so we can provide seamless work between the two frameworks. It's part of Progress family, and as such, it comes with the expected high standard level of user support. So if you need help, we are there for you. CandoUI. For the web part, Kinvey Studio relies on CandoUI. This is a pure Angular web component framework built from the ground. It doesn't wrap any other frameworks, and this gives it makes it being built from the ground. It makes it possible for CandoUI to take advantage of all the native Angular performance capabilities, like ahead of time compilation, Angular universal, and tree shaking. It's also part of the Progress family, and it comes with the same level of user support. So what a typical project structure created with Kinvey Studio looks like. So there are two kinds of files in the project. There are auto-generated files, which are not supposed to be touched by the developers, and there are user-editable files where all the custom logic and custom code should go. The project is organized in modules, views, components, and services. And each view consists of HTML file where the view presentation goes, the CSS file where the styling goes, and the component itself where is the JavaScript logic. So, time for a demo. I have already opened my my Kinvey Studio in the background. So first you see the module screen. And here I have prepared an application with two modules. Basically, this is a mobile banking application with two flows. One is the account flow where I can see my accounts, the balance of the accounts, the latest transaction, and eventually create a transaction. And the second flow in the application is for scheduling an appointment with banking consultant. Let's say I need some consultation and I can schedule an appointment from here. In the system model, I see some predefined views like the app layout, landing page, login page for web and mobile, etc. And if I go back to the main module, I will see the views that I have already created. Most of them are empty or not completed, and I'm going to complete it in the session. And when I select a view, it has two options. I can either go to design view and where I can see the widget that I've dropped here, or I can open the code view where I see the files that this view consists of. And here are the files. So the first file is the HTML file where is my view logic. And as you can see, it's marked as auto-generated. Do not touch. So if I change something here, it will get lost after the next generation. The next file that I see here is the CSS itself. It's currently empty, but if I need a custom customization, custom styling, I can do it here. And this is the component file. And maybe you've noticed that there are two components file. One is marked as based, and the other is just inherits from the base. And the base file is where the code generated by Studio goes. So it's also marked as auto-generated. So my mouse is jumping strangely. It's auto-generated, and if I change something here, it will get lost. And if I need to override something or add custom logic, I should go here and do my logic. So I'm going to open the same project in Visual Studio Code. And I can show you how it looks like in Visual Studio Code. So I have app resources folder, which is where this is a folder where some mobile resources go. Artifacts folder where I can put some custom images, translations, etc. This is completely custom for me. Some systems files, folders that I'm not supposed to touch. And the more interesting folder here is the source folder. If I go to the source folder, I see core folder where some core modules and services live. No, it doesn't work with this mouse. Like authentication, data connection, services, etc. For example, here is my model. This is what my user model looks like. The next interesting folder here is the shared folder. And if I go to shared and component subfolder, I see all the visual components that I have here in the drag and drop area. All the components that I have here live in this folder, and if I need more information of a component and I want to know how this component works, or if I want to override it or to extend it, I can always go here and see its logic. Here is how the button works. Okay, now it's time to start some customization. I have already started my iOS simulator, and I've deployed the application to the simulator. And if you're wondering how to do that, you can always go here to this mobile preview window. It will open a secondary window, which is for device management only, and this is my simulator running. And I can click here, run on device, and it will deploy the application to my device. I can either deploy to simulator or to device. There is another flow, which my colleague showed. It's called preview. I can easily deploy the application to my device, just scanning a QR code. But doing that, I will not be able to debug. And for the purpose of this demo, I really need debug, and that's why I use simulator. And when I deploy it, I should not forget to, I'm not sure it's really visible, but I should not forget that to add source files in my build, so otherwise I will not be able to debug it. Okay, let's see what I have on my first screen. So the home screen has two buttons, and even when I click on accounts, it's empty. And this is good because it's empty in Kinvey Studio as well, so everything works as expected. So I'm going to drag here a list view. I want to display my accounts, account name and its balance. So I dragged a list view, and I'm going to drag a grid layout here. If you don't know what a grid layout is, this is a NetScript building component, and you can always go to NetScript documentation, docs.netscript.org, and you can click here on layout containers, and you can find the list of all the containers that NetScript supports with, and with their options as well. So go back to Studio, and I'm going to change my grid to 1 row and 2 columns. And I'm typing some strange things, and I'm going to explain that. So this is the grid configuration, and it's also listed in the documentation. So if you're interested what these things mean, you can always go there. Basically, auto means that I need only 1 row, and it should take as much space as it needs. As in terms of columns, I need 2 columns. The second column should take as much space as it needs, and the asterisk means take all the rest of the space. I can assure you that in one of the future releases we will make this more user-friendly, and you will not be required to type these things, but for now you just have to do that. So my grid layout is ready, and I'm going to drag two labels. One for the name and one for the balance. And I can easily bind here. I forgot to mention that my database is already prepared. I have some simple collections there with some account transactions that are nothing interesting in the database itself. So this is bound to my account name, and this will be bound to my balance. And not sure if it's visible on the screen, but it basically says 2 curly braces and some expression. It's normal Angular binding. If you are interested more in the power of the binding, you can always go to the Angular documentation site and see the power of binding. And I'm going to show some more complex binding in a minute. In this case, I just want to add a $sign before this binding, and I'm going to save this. And I hope it will refresh on my device. Yes. There is a feature called Live Sync, which watches my files, and if I change something, it will redeploy the application on the simulator for me. This allows me to test easily, and while I'm developing, I can always see my result right away, right directly on the device. And my list view works. I see my accounts and some balances. So next, what I want to do is to see the details of this balance. When I click here, I'm clicking right now, and nothing happens. So I need to link this account view with the account details view. I have already prepared some things on this detail, but not completed, and we are going to complete it together. So before that, I have to link it. So I have to select the list view and link to the second page. And if I cannot select it from here, I can always go to the breadcrumb and select it from here. If it's easier for me, I just I'm just saying when I tap, go to the count details page. If I save, the live sync will trigger again for me and will update the application. Let's see if it works. Great, it works. But there are a lot of things that I don't like on this screen. First of all, I have two labels and they don't really look like labels. I have two separators and I need some space between the separators, so I'm going to change this. When I select the label, I can assign a class to it. So I'm writing H2 and I'm going to explain what this H2 means in a second. For the horizontal separators, I'm going to say the class is M-10 and I will explain this as well. Just let me type them. Okay, I'm saving that and I'm going to the NoteScript documentation site again. Each application comes with a predefined CSS theme. We call it the core theme, and it comes with some predefined classes that we can use to customize our application. And if you want to know what the classes are, just go here in the documentation in the theme, and you're gonna see the list with all the available classes. For example, I'm looking for my H2 class, and here are the available classes, and with some examples what they will look like, and the M10, which is the most strange thing. Oh, sorry, M dash. So I took the wrong way. Basically, M dash something means at margin. M stands for margin. And there are a couple of predefined margin classes for my convenience, like M0, M2, M5, etc. But if I need a different kind of margin, I can always go to the CSS and add it there. So let's see if my account details page looks different. Great, it's as expected. Sorry?
What is the unit of the margin?
It's a device pixel, device independent pixel. You can take more information about it in the documentation. It's entirely described. So next thing that I don't like here is I have a label for transaction, but I don't have any transactions here. I had two options to do that. I can simply drag a list view here. Where's my list view? Here it is. I can drag it here and display the transaction, but I don't like this case because it will render a scroller here because the list view comes with a scroller. I just want to render a couple of transactions directly in the view. And also for the purpose of this demo, I'm choosing the more complex scenario. So I have to do something that I cannot do with the list view. If I go to the code in the HTML, it says do not modify. So it seems like I'm blocked. But I said you're never blocked. This is where this custom XML component comes handy. If I drag it here, it will create a section where I can put my custom HTML and it will survive the generations. I will open the editor and I'm going to open my cheat sheet. I'll copy something and I'll explain this magic. Yeah, I missed a line. So basically it says that, is it visible? I'm not sure, I can zoom it. It says use the stack layout component. And again, this is a layout component of NetScript. You can find all the information in the documentation. And the most interesting part here is the ng4. This is a standard standard repeater syntax for Angular. And basically it says for each item of the transactions, do the following. Just render a grid layout with two labels. Okay, I'm going to save this. And what I'm missing now is the transaction service itself. I don't have data connection to the service. So I'm going to open, I'll do it again. I'm going to open the data source configuration for the view. And I already created one data source for my account. You can think of data sources. We have two layers of data connections. One is the collection itself, which holds all the records, and the data sources is like an instance of this collection where I can customize it, which I can customize just for this particular view. In my case, I don't want to display all the transactions on the page. I just want to display the transactions linked to this account. So I had to add additional filters. So I'm creating a new one. Name it transactions, link to the transaction collection, and I'm going to apply filter to this particular data source. So I'm going to say that I need all the, only records that match this foreign key account ID. Great, let's see what happened. Great, here are my transactions. So let's say that I need to apply further customization of this transaction. Let's say I only have to display 3 of them. And I have to change the code. And if I go here in the base class, the code generated by Kinvey Studio for me, I can find this method init data services. And I can see that this is the parameter saying how many transactions it will take from the database. And I have to change that. But again, this is auto-generated file. I cannot modify it. But I can always go here and override it. And this is the place where I can open my Visual Studio code. This code view of Kinvey Studio is really helpful when you want to add small tweaks to the code. But if I want to do something more complex, I can always use my favorite editor, and in this case it's a Visual Studio Code. I can go here and update my view. Here's where my views live, in the modules page, in the main module, as you remember, and account details is my view. So I can go here. I'll try with this mouse. Copy this, paste it here, and let Visual Studio Code add the missing imports for me. As you can see, this is a normal TypeScript project, and I can work with it in the same way that I would with any other project. I think there is one more, yes. And I can change it to 3, save. Oh, wrong key. Save again, and as you can see, live sync triggers even when I'm changing the file in Studio, in Visual Studio Code, I mean. Back to my account, yes, just 3 transactions. So next thing that I'm going to do is, I really don't like this button here. I want it more context here, just next to the label, and maybe without the border. Go back here, I'm going to use the grid layout. Once again, okay. I'm going to change the columns once again, just 1 row and 2 columns. I'm going to drag the label here and the button here. And I'm going to change the name just to new, save. Let's see what we have. Go back to my account. Yeah, the button is here, but I don't like, it's not aligned at all, and it has a border that I don't like. So what I can do in this case is I can go here in the CSS file. Of course, I'm going to use my cheat sheet once again. We'll paste, and I'm saying that I defined a CSS class named link with some normal CSS properties, and I'm also overriding the highlighted state of the button. So I have the CSS, but I still don't have this class at the on the button. So when I select it, I can come here and say attach a link CSS class to this button. Let's see if it works. correct. It worked. But when I click, nothing happens. This is because I didn't link to the new transaction view. This is how can I link the new transaction to clicking on the button will lead me to the new transaction view. And since when I create a transaction, I have to link it to the account. So I have to pass as a parameter the account ID. But I'm intentionally doing this mistake right now to show you how to troubleshoot this problem with the debugger. So I'm saving this. Wait for licensing to trigger. I'll go back to accounts. Select this account. No transactions in this current transaction in this account. Okay. Add something. Submit. Nothing here. No. Actually, before doing that, I have to do some customization to the accounts, to the new transaction page as well. So go to the new transaction view, and this is a simple form auto-generated by Kinvey Studio for me. This is how we can do that. Just select the form. If I select the collections, I can always click this auto-generate here, and Kinvey Studio will create the form for me. But what I don't like in this case is that it requires me to type the account ID, and no way that I can know the account ID. This should happen in the code, and I should delete this field. The other thing that I don't like is that for the type debit or credit of the transaction, it requires me to type it manually. But it's just two options. I should be able to select it, to pick them. So I'm going to delete this edit field as well, and I will replace it with a picker. Here's my picker. Paste it here. And to avoid typos, I'm going to copy the two values. Here I'm basically saying that this picker should only have two values, debit and credit, and the value should go to the type field. Okay, save. New, and here it is my picker. So now, when I create a transaction, I have to attach the account ID, as I said. So I should do something just before submitting the form. And I can do that by selecting the form and say, I need to attach before submit, I need to add custom handler just before submitting the form. So I click this option, I generate the code, so Kinvey Studio will generate a handler for me. And if I go back to the Visual Studio Code and the new transaction, page view, and here is my method. If I copy it and override it here, add the missing imports, copy the needed part from the cheat sheet, it will work. So what's the magic here? This method triggers just before submitting the form, and it gets one argument. And in this argument, I have access to the item being created or updated currently. And what I'm saying here is I want the account ID of the item that I just created to be equal to the account ID that I've passed as a parameter. And this is again pure Angular code. The activated route is the latest route that I just visited, and access to the query parameters and account ID is something that I've passed as code. So when I save this and go back here, and let's try if it works. New transaction. Submit is not here. So this is where I should troubleshoot it. I can open again this window, which contains the device management capabilities. I can click on this little book icon, and if I click it here, it will fire for me the Chrome Dev tools. These are the number of Chrome Dev tools that we are used to work with. And I can always go here to new transaction model, and here is my method. It seems I cannot zoom in this, but this is the method that I just wrote, and I can put a breakpoint here and try to repeat the case. Again, new transaction, and here is my problem. My account ID is empty. So I found my problem. I'm going to close the debugger and fix the problem. The problem is here that when I forgot to add the parameter before navigation. So I'm saying just before navigating, add the account ID in the query params to the next view. So it should work now. Okay, let's add something, submit. Yeah, it is here. The next problem that I faced is that I don't have any validation, so I managed to submit with empty field. So let's see what I can do for that. When I come here and click on the field, I don't see any options to add validations. And I can again ensure that in future, in one of the future releases, we're going to expose the configuration here. But even now, even though that the configuration is not exposed, I'm not blocked. I can add my validations with a custom code. So I can go here to my do transaction view, and I can copy some lines of code. And paste it here in the constructor. So how do I know that I can do that? If I go to the base class, on the very top, I can see this configuration property. And in the configuration property, I can see the configuration my format. And I see that it consists of two fields. And when I command click it, I can see that each field is an object, and it has property validators. This is where I can put my validation. If I go back to my code, it basically says in the config, in the mobile form on the type field, just add required validation. And on the amount field, just add required validation and a pattern validator to make sure that I'm just entering amount there and not any other things. So save again. I'm not sure if it refreshed. Not. Okay, go back here. Again, new transaction. And when I try to submit, it says the form is not valid. And if I try to enter here something which is not amount, it says it doesn't match the pattern. Of course, I can change the basic and the default messages as well in just the same way. So I think I'm done with this flow. So I can go to the second flow and see what the problems there are. So this is list with all my scheduled appointments. And you can see this is very ugly looking list because the presentation of dates and times is not very human readable. So let's see how I can change this. Go to my appointment list, and what I have here is a list view with 2 labels and 1 button. And when I go to the label, as I said, this is a powerful Angular binding, so I can do many things here. And I'm going to pipe this to the date. Do you see it right now? I can just pipe the expression to date. I would do the changes, and I'll show you where you can find this information in the documentation. Let's first see if it works. Great, now my times and dates are readable. And if you don't know that such function exists or how to use it, you can always go to Google and say Angular date pipe. And Google also autocompletes this for me. And if I go here, this is the magic I just wrote. This is pure Angular syntax. The value expression, the date, and the date just accepts some parameters. And for instance, the short time. This is what I just wrote. Short time. Sorry, not this one. I don't see it. It's somewhere here. The short time. It is. Here it is. Great. The next thing that I'm going to do is I need to schedule a new appointment. I have the option to just create a simple form with some edit fields, and I can fill the edits there and just schedule an appointment. But I want to do something more complex, something more sophisticated. I just want to make it as a wizard. And the first option of the wizard, I like to use it to select location for this appointment. So I'm going to integrate a map in the view. Okay, the button is already linked, and if I click here, it's empty. So I'm going to build it now. And this is my empty view, and I'm going to zoom out a bit just to be able to drag it. And here I see component map box. If you don't know what Mapbox is, this is a map provider, the same as the Google Maps, and it's free of charge. All that you need to integrate it is a free account and access token to it. And I already have an access token. I'm going to copy it, paste it here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to paste the coordinates of Orlando as a starting point. And I'm also going to say that each of my markers should have name and a rating as display. So let's see what happened. Here's my map, and here are my pins. And when I click on one pin, I see information, just locations with some rating. And what I want next is when I click on the location, I should start the appointment scheduling and should lead me to another screen. So I can do it right here. I can say that when I click on a marker, I want to go to the view, select appointment topic. And I can start building my appointment topic view. In this view, I'm going to drag a form. This is going to be the topic of my session. Like in this demo, I'm going to have just two topics, general and, for example, loans. And I'm going to drag a form here. But this form will not be just a normal form where I can fill some fields and just submit. I want to be a step from a wizard. So I'm going to delete this standard submit and cancel buttons, and I'm going to add this form button. What this form button does, it allows me to do two actions. It can act either as a submit or as a cancel button, or it can do two actions, submit and model update. So when I click it, I'll save an option, save a value to the model, and we'll submit the form in the same time. Okay, I'll show it in action just in a moment. So next thing that I need, oh, let's see first if it works. Here's my form. Next thing that I need to do, for example, if I click now, it will submit the form and you'll get back to my previous step. But I want to go further to the next step. And how can I do that? If I go to the form, if I select the form again, here I have the option to do something just after submitting the form. And like I said, say, instead of going backward, just go forward, and this forward should be this view. Great. Now, when I click on the button, it will create an item, will set. I forgot to set something here. I forgot to define the field that this value should go to, and this is the topic field of the schedule. So when I click the button, it will create an item. It will save the value to this field, and will go forward to the next step. And this is my next step. Just a simple form with two fields, a date picker and time picker, and submit. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it moves to the other screen. But here, when I click submit, just because we are live demo. I really don't have any idea, maybe the internet. Sorry? Could be. Okay, you should believe me that when I click here, submit, it will go back to the previous screen the same way that the previous step did. And the last thing that I should do is just say that when I submit this form, it should also go forward, and this forward should be the appointments screen. And I also should not select this checkbox because it says, when I go there, I don't need the back button anymore, so my flow is complete. I'll try it once again. I hope it works. This time I'm going to choose a different location. Maybe this is because of the location. Yeah, now there's another problem with the year. Maybe I've missed something, but at least worked. So my appointment is here. And actually, this is all that I have as a demo today. And if you need to remember just one thing, remember that you're not blocked. There's always a way to achieve the thing that you want to do. Thank you. Okay, maybe 1 minute for questions if you have some.
So using Studio versus using Data Studio alone, it looks like you produce more files than using Data Studio. So it's a bigger.
Sorry, I can't really hear that. I don't hear you very well.
So does using Studio create a bigger package, like an 8 IPA or something like that, than using Data Studio, like without the Studio part?
It generates the same project.
Same thing, but there seem to be a couple extra files, like the file where you can edit it. So that wouldn't generate any extra.
It generates some extra files because it's it's a how we call it, shared project structure, and it generates web and mobile in the same thing. Yeah, it generates a couple of more files, but they are not really a lot.
I think that when you build the application, web public, and also will appreciate and need a code. So in the end, you probably end up with the same size of the file.
Oh, cool.
I recently got more files and close tools the verticals, except the one that you can edit. And that's
Is Angular by default, or we can change the?
It is Angular by default. Yeah, this is the only way currently in Studio to create a project. It's Angular by default because it comes with its benefits. You can reuse your code in the web and the mobile at the same time, and it comes.
I was thinking about we had two.
This is the only option that we currently support. Maybe one more question? Yeah.
When you were doing the filtering, was that server-side or was it device-side filtering?
It's device-side filtering, but you can always do server-side filtering using flex function of Kinvey. The purpose of this demo was to show just the studio, but there is another part, the backend itself, and you can do a lot of things there. And you can filter, you can do filtering, paging, etc. there. Okay. Yes.
The data system was Kinvey, right?
Yes.
So what if I have a data that I have to go through Kinvey, or
You should go through Kinvey and you can create a custom connector there, or you reuse the one that we have if they suit your needs, and you can consume the data the same way as I did in my presentation. No matter in terms of Studio, in the point of view Studio is no matter where the data comes from, it works the same. So you can change, for example, you can have development data, and later in the stage you can change it to production data, and Studio will continue working. Okay, last question.
Is there a way to import an existing project into the studio?
And not currently, but this is something that we are working on. We keep hearing that from customers. They just want to continue. They have an existing project that they want to sit on top of that and continue developing with Studio. So we're working on that. Okay, thank you once again.